बर मुहम्मद व आलि मुहम्मद सलवात। जब याद सकीना को तेरी आती है बाबा, जब याद सकीना को तेरी आती है बाबा, सर जिंद के दीवार से टकराती है बाबा, जब याद सकीना को तेरी आती है बाबा। कानों से टपकता है लहू, शानों पे देखो जालिम की अज़ियत, जालिम की अज़ियत मुझे तड़पाती है बाबा, जब याद सकीना को तेरी आती है बाबा। दरबार यजीदी में भला कैसे मैं जाऊं, दरबार यजीदी में भला कैसे मैं जाऊं, ये चाख गिरेबां, ये चाख गिरेबां में हया आती है बाबा, जब याद सकीना को तेरी। जवाब मोमिनो। जलते हुए खैमों के नज़ारे है नजर में, जलते हुए खैमों के नज़ारे है नजर में, ये बात ख्यालों से, ये बात ख्यालों से कहाँ जाती है बाबा, जब याद सकीना को। आज़ादारों में जवाब प्लीज। जब याद सकीना को मर जाऊंगी प्यासी न कभी, मांगूंगी पानी, असगर की मुझे प्यास जो, असगर की मुझे प्यास जो याद आती है बाबा, जब याद सकीना को ती है दे सकीना को तेरी ती है, याद आती है जब शिम्र के वो ज़ुल्म तसद्दुक़, ये नन्ही सी दुख्तर तेरी, ये नन्ही सी दुख्तर तेरी घबराती है बाबा, जब याद सकीना को। जवाब ऐसा था। जब तक तेरे सीने से न लग जाए सकीना, जिंदा में उसे नींद, जिंदा में उसे नींद कहाँ आएगी बाबा। जब याद सकीना को तेरी आती है बाबा, जब सकीना को तेरी याद। आंसू मेरी आंखों में नहीं थमते सहर तक, आंसू मेरी आंखों से नहीं थमते सहर तक। हर रात तेरे गम में, हर रात तेरे गम में गुजर जाती है बाबा। जब याद सकीना को तेरी आती जो आवाज़दार हूँ। जब याद सकीना, याद आती है जब शिमर के वो ज़ुल्म तसद्दुक़, ये नन्ही सी दुख्तर तेरी, ये नन्ही सी दुख्तर तेरी घबराती है बाबा। जब याद सकीना को तेरी, जब याद सकीना को ती है बाबा। है कौन मेरे पास जियूं, किसके सहारे, तन्हाई मेरी मौत, तन्हाई मेरी मौत बनी जाती है बाबा। जब याद सकीना को तेरी आती है बाबा। जब याद सकीना को तेरी आती है बाबा। सर जिंद के दीवार से टकराती है बाबा। जब याद सकीना को तेरी आती है बाबा। बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु।
मोहम्मद वाली मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु। शाह की लाडली जब कैदिए जिंदान रोई घबराई बहुत और परेशान हुई। कैद खाने की घुटन मौत का सामान हुई। अरे जान लगता था कि मासूम की बेजान हुई। लाश शबीर की मकतल में तरप जाती थी। कैद खाने से जो बच्ची की सदा आती थी। अब मुझे कोई सकीना नहीं कहता बाबा। अब मुझे कोई सकीना नहीं कहता बाबा। कैदी कहता है कोई, कैदी कहता है कोई, कोई यतीमा बाबा। अब मुझे कोई सकीना नहीं कहता बाबा। मैं बयां कैसे करूं अपनी मुसीबत तुमसे, क्या करूं अपने तमाचों की शिकायत तुमसे। सुनती हूँ दादी ने खाया था तमाचा बाबा। अब मुझे कोई सकीना नहीं कहता बाबा। नील रुख सारों पे बीनाई भी जिसकी कम हो, उम्र हो 4 बरस और कमर में गम हो। आपने देखी है क्या, आपने देखी है क्या ऐसी ज़ईफ़ा बाबा। अब मुझे कोई सकीना नहीं कहता बाबा। खूने बेशीर से अंदाज़ा किया था मैंने। अरे आपका चेहरा तो पहचान लिया था मैंने। आप पहचानोगे कैसे मेरा चेहरा बाबा। अब मुझे कोई सकीना नहीं कहता बाबा। आप थे दूर तो मैं सारे सितम सहती रही। रो परी कूफे के दरबार में मैं सह ना सकी आपके सामने जब शिम्र ने मारा बाबा, अब मुझे कोई सकीना नहीं कहता बाबा। वो तो बीमार थी मर जाती सफर में आके, अरे दफन करते उसे बाजार में भैया कैसे। ये तो अच्छा हुआ ही नहीं सुगरा बाबा, अब मुझे कोई सकीना नहीं कहता बाबा। कैदी कहता है कोई, कैदी कहता है कोई, कोई यतीमा बाबा, अब मुझे कोई सकीना नहीं कहता बाबा। पर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु।
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Can I please request to recite a Surah Fatiha for all marhumin? Surah al-Mubarakat al-Fatiha. Mu'mineen, we are honored to be hosting Syed Muhammad Rizwi for the Majlis this evening. Syed Rizwi graduated with a BSc Honours in Biomedical Sciences. He then pursued Islamic education in both Hawza Ilmiya in Qom and Hawza Ilmiya of England. Syed graduated under Dr. Muhammad Ali Shomali in London. Syed Rizwi has served in a number of roles, including resident alim of Al-Zahra Center in Watford for 4 years. On behalf of Wessex Jamaat, we thank you, Syed, for accepting our humble invitation. Mu'mineen, in true Wessex fashion, can we please welcome Syed with a recitation of 3 salawat.
Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على الأفضل الموجودات، العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد والمحمود الأحمد، سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، صاحب الوقار والسكينة المدفون بأرض المدينة أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين. آمين يا رب العالمين. فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم وهو أصدق القائلين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد. Respected scholars, elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the right of this young 3-year-old daughter of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, bless you all and your children with siha and afiyah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inshallah give us all tawfiq this year to become the guests of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein in Karbala inshallah. Tonight I want to put forward a few historical discussions that exist around the personality of Ali al-Akbar alayhi salatu wassalam, and end inshallah with some discussions around Bibi Sakina and her masa'ib. As a reason, I've chosen the verse of the Holy Quran of Surah Al-Qalam, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressing the Prophet says, indeed, within you is a great or a azim character, azim morality, azim lessons of akhlaq. Ali al-Akbar alayhi salatu wassalam, born on the 11th of Sha'ban, 33 AH, according to some of the Shia historians, the likes of Anisu Shia, the likes of Agha Buzurg al-Tahrani, the likes of Allama Abdul Razak Muqarram al-Musawi, who put Ali al-Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam in the year 33 AH. Now if that is the case, that means Ali al-Akbar spent 7 years in the presence of Ali ibn Abi Talib. For Ali ibn Abi Talib died in 40 AH. And Imam Hassan alayhi salam passed away martyred in 50 AH. And Imam Hussein in 61 AH. 11th of Sha'ban, 33. However, there are those, the likes of Sheikh Mufid in his famous Kitab al-Irshad or Allama Tabrisi, who have come forward and said, no, though he's born in Sha'ban, but he's not born in 33 AH. He's born much later than that. And hence Sheikh Mufid says Ali al-Akbar on the day of Ashura was 18. Whereas if you go for the previous opinion, Ali Akbar would be 27, 28, which would make him older than Imam Ali al-Sajjad. And so anyway, this exists amongst the historians. Whereas the opinion of Sheikh Mufid and Sheikh Tabrasi and others has become more mainstream and more popular, that Ali al-Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam was 18. And for this reason, sometimes Sheikh Mufid even refers to Ali Akbar as Ali Asghar, because he compares him to Imam Sajjad, Imam Sajjad being greater. And since all the sons of Imam Hussein were known as Ali, if you remember when Ibn Ziyad says to Imam Sajjad, you know, who is this? Man hadha? They said, Hadha Ali ibn al-Hussein. He said, did we not kill Ali ibn al-Hussein in Karbala? Then Imam Sajjad replies, he says, no, that Ali ibn al-Hussein was my brother. So he says, are all of them Ali? And then the Holy Imam replies, even if Allah had granted my father 100 sons, he would have named them all Ali. And perhaps this was a way to fight back that propaganda or that poison which was being spread against Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib on the manabir of Sham, on the pulpits of Syria. Marhum Allama Zishan Haidar Jawadi Allah Maqamahu from Lucknow, India, he says that it was in fact as a result to that, what Muawiyah did on the pulpits of Sham to curse Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, he made it incumbent, you must curse him on the Friday prayers. If you don't curse him, there's a penalty. As a result to that, the Shias, Marhum Allama Jawadi says, the Shias started to announce the wilayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib in the azan from the minars, from the minarets. Ashhadu anna Aliyan Waliullah. From the azans at that time, as a response to this poison of Syria. And Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam at that time, where he had grown up under, of course, his father Ali ibn Abi Talib, and he had seen what Muawiyah had done at that time. To fight that, he named all of his sons Ali. And he named all of his daughters Fatima. Whether Fatima to Kubra, Fatima to Sughra, Sakina, Ruqayya, all these are titles. Sheikh Mufid says, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, and by the way, Imam Hussein, if you compare him to Ali ibn Abi Talib and Imam Hassan, is known to be someone who has less children. For example, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib is known to have 18 sons only. Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wasalam, some of the historians said 20 children. Some say 8 sons and 8 daughters. But Imam Hussein, Sheikh Mufid says 4 sons and 2 daughters. Ibn Shahr Ashub in his Al-Manaqib, he says 4 sons and 3 daughters. Some say 4 sons and 4 daughters. But whatever it is not as much as Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, or Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam, who is known to have the most children. 30, 32, perhaps more. I can't remember exactly, but the most children are associated with Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam. Ali al-Akbar really occupies such a high rank when it comes to the Shuhada of Karbala, that the ulama say, Allama Abdul Razak, he says that out of all of the Shuhada of Karbala from Bani Hashim, the highest shaheed after Hussein and Abbas is Ali Akbar. The highest shaheed. Hussein, of course, Sayyidul Shuhada. Abbas, Afdalul Shuhada. After them, the highest shaheed is Ali Akbar. On that day, we have a strange narration from Imam Hussein alayhi salam. When Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam, he comes to his father to ask him for permission to fight. As you know, the first shaheed from Bani Hashim is Ali Akbar, according to many sources. And even the ziyarat of Nahiya from Imam Zaman, who says, peace be upon the first martyr, when he refers to Ali Akbar alayhi salam. When Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam gives his son the permission to go and fight, he says something. And this is in all maqatil, if not most maqatil. Al-Lahuf ala qatl al-Tufuf, Sayyid ibn Taus. He says, Imam Hussein raised his hands and he says, Allahumma ashhad ala ha'ula il-qawm, faqad baraza ilayhim ghulamun ashbahu an-nas bi rasulik, khulqan wa khalqan wa mantiqa. Strange, really, what Imam Hussein says at that time. He says, oh Allah, bear witness, I send to them a young man who resembles your Prophet the most. Ashbahun nas. Khulqan wa khalqan wa mantiqa. He resembles the Prophet the most in his features, in his mannerism, in his adab, in his akhlaq, in his speech, in his guftar. And then he says, وَكُنَّا إِذَا اشْتَقْنَا إِلَى نَبِيِّكَ وَنَظَرْنَا إِلَى وَجْهِهِ. He says, whenever we used to miss the Prophet, we used to look towards Ali. We used to look at his face, ila wajh. We used to look towards the face of Ali Akbar. So I don't know, when you think of this, when you put this in front of you, I don't know what made Imam Hussein more sad and more sorrowful when he sends his son Ali Akbar. Was it that a father was sending his son? Or was it that Hussein was sending the one who resembles the Prophet in Bani Hashim? And perhaps we'll never know. Now this statement, I want to connect it back to the Holy Quran, the verse that I chose of Surah Qalam. He says, bear witness to who? To Allah. I send the one who resembles the most to the Prophet. You see, in history, members of Bani Hashim, the Hashimiyin, the Alawiyin, they resembled the Prophet from different angles. Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, he said that when the Lady of Light, Fatima Zahra salawatullahi alayha, when the Lady of Light would walk, they would say her walking would resemble Rasulullah. When she walked to the, when she came out of her house after the demise, after the Shahadat of the Prophet, to go to the mosque, to go and speak to the Muslims, to go and speak to the Caliph, they said it is as if Rasulullah was walking. She resembled her father in her walking. Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wasalam resembled Rasulullah in his hayba, in his wujud, in his energy. Imam Hussein resembled Rasulullah in his shuja'ah. Or the hadith says that Rasulullah himself says, the Messenger of Allah says, Hassan resembles me from the head to the waist. And Hussein resembles me from the waist down to the feet, to the shoes, to the legs. And one of the ulama says beautifully, there's a reason, there's a falsafa behind this. Because from the head to the waist, you have the hands. From the waist to the feet, you have the legs. If Hassan with his hand signs a peace treaty, do not doubt him. And if Hussein with his legs walks to Karbala, do not doubt him. Imaman qamahu qada. They're imams whether they sit or they stand. If Imam Hassan sits, in other words, representing a peace treaty, he's still an imam. And if Hussein stands on the qiyam of Ashura, he's still an imam. In other words, do not doubt, do not question him. Do not question Hassan. Had Hussein been in place of Hassan, he would have done the same thing. Had Hassan been in place of Hussein, he would have done the same thing. But I bring you here. Az-Zahra resembled her father's walking. Imam Hussein resembles Rasulullah from an angle. Imam Hassan resembles Rasulullah from an angle. All of Banu Hashim, especially children, especially Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, they resembled Rasulullah from an angle, from a point. But if there was anyone who was a complete resemblance and reflection of Rasulullah, that's Aliul Akbar alayhi salam. Khulqan wa khalqan wa mantiqan. If there was anyone, if you like, who was a mirror image of the Prophet, you put together whatever the Prophet has within him, under the ayah, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. If the Prophet was known for his sakhawa, and his sakhawa was such that when he would sit under a tree, especially when he would return from war, and they would bring back the war, the war booty that they would bring back that would be divided amongst the Muslims, the Prophet would sit under a tree, and he would divide and divide and divide, and he would give everything. The hadith says the people would even take his abba. That's how much. They would take his ammama. Rasulullah would give everything. Let me take you to Ali Akbar alayhi salam. You know what the historians say? Ma'ali Sabtain, Mullah Mahdi Mazandarani. He says Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam was known to light a fire on the top of his house. At that time, to light a fire on the top of your house was a form of an invitation, that this house is open for any guests, for any travelers, anyone who does not have a place to sleep at night, anyone who does not have food, anyone who does not have water to drink, anyone who's a musafir coming into Medina. This house is welcoming, this house is open. Just like Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wasalam, his sakhawa, his bakhshish, his generosity, his jood and karam was known amongst the people of Medina. Ali Akbar would light a fire and he would invite the people. He became known for his generosity. The same generosity he has from the Prophet. If the Prophet was known for his shuja'ah in the battle of Uhud, when the Muslims fled, when the companions ran, Amirul Mu'mineen says Rasulullah was bleeding out of his mouth because there was no one around him to protect him except Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib and a handful of few companions. Amirul Mu'mineen says when the Muslims became fearful, they used to take cover behind Rasulullah. In other words, the closest person to the enemy was the Prophet. When the attack became fierce, the Muslims feared for their lives, they used to come and hide behind Rasulullah. Now let me take you to the shuja'at of Ali Akbar alayhi salam. We don't get time to mention this in Masaib because we focus mainly on Masaib and time is short as well, and some things are for books anyway, some things are for your own reading. But when Ali Akbar alayhi salam went to battle, he was unstoppable. For a moment they thought, we can't defeat this young man. Some historians said up to 90 people he put down. Some have said more than 90 people he put down. In other words, wherever they would attack him from, they were not able to get to him. The same for Imam Hussein, by the way. When everyone had been martyred, when Imam Hussein attacked, they say the Sheikh Ja'far Shushtari in his Khasa'is al-Husayniyah, he says he attacked like a hawk, like a desert eagle, like a lion. And he used to call them and says, where do you go now? Where do you run? You killed my Ali Akbar, you killed my Abbas, you killed my Qasim. They realize that, and then the enemy says, and this is in the Maqtal, that never have we seen a man who's lost his brothers and his sons and his nephews and his children and his friends and his comrades and his companions, and yet he fights covered in his blood. He fights like a lion. And why would he not? He was the son of Haydar Karrar. Ali Akbar was the warith, he was the inheritor of the Shuja'at of Alawi and Husayni together. You know, it was hard for them to take down Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam. Until the end, the Maqtal says, and this is Masaib, but I'm not on Masaib yet. Just quickly, and I want to move off. When Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam, when the spear hits his chest, he doesn't fall. He had too much ghair. I said, I don't want to fall. You know what he does? He hugs the horse. He's pretty much lifeless now, but he doesn't fall. Until at the end, and the blood from the body of Ali Akbar flows into the eyes of the horse, and the horse takes the wrong direction. And Ali Akbar is surrounded by the enemies, and they do to him what they do to him. I don't want to recite that yet. Then he falls. Even with the spear in his chest, falling, he hugs the neck of the horse. Now that's bravery. That's shuja'a. Recite salawat, please. Now, whether the Prophet is known for his bravery in the Battle of Uhud or otherwise, his shakhawa, his fasaha and his balagha, the role of the tribes of the Arabs would agree that our most fasih and baligh do not come close to the Prophet's fasahat and balagha. And if the Prophet now occupies the rank which the Quran says, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, if the rank of Prophet is azim, then the rank of Ali Akbar too is azim. Based on the statement of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Now this son of Imam Hussain alayhi salam is born. From the father's side, of course, Imama. His father is an Imam, his grandfather is an Imam. But from the mother's side, his mother is Layla. Other names I've mentioned as well. Al-Manaqib says Barra. But the mashhur and the famous is Layla. Layla is the niece of Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, radwanullah alayh. Layla from the father's side. From the father's side, she is connected with the tribe of Bani Thaqif. Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. Her father, Abu Marra, is the cousin of Mukhtar. And their fathers were brothers. From the mother's side, she has links with Bani Umayyah. And that's why, if you remember, the night of Ashura, they come to Ali Akbar and Hazrat Abbas. They say, look, from the mother's side, the tribal links go back to some of our soldiers. Well, we'll give you, Ibn Ziyad says that we'll give you we'll sign for you a document of immunity. We'll give you aman. We'll give you a safe haven. You leave your father and come. Your mother has connections. The tribe will look after you. You know what Imam Ali Akbar alayhi salam replies? He said, my connection to Rasulullah is far stronger than any other connection. And if there's any connection that's worthy of being honored, that is the connection of the son of Fatima. He says, referring to Ibn Ziyad, the Mal'un. He says, that Mal'un, the accursed, wants to give me safe haven, while the son of Fatima has no protector. And when he goes to battle, Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam, he introduces himself from the father's side. Ana Ali ibn al-Husayn ibn Ali. I am Ali, son of Hussein, son of Ali, Hashemi al-Alawi. He introduces his connection as a response to what they said. No, but you have connections there. He says, the only connection I know is this. Imam Hussein, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Rasulullah. If there's any connection worthy of being honored, Abbas says the same thing. When Umar ibn Sa'd al-Mal'un comes and he says, where are the sons of my sister? Referring to Ummul Baneen. Abbas says, get out of here. before I end your life. Curse on you and curse on the document of immunity. He rips it and throws it back at, because Hazrat Abbas was called out that night. And Hazrat Abbas says to Imam Hussain, I won't go. Imam says, no, go listen to him. See what he says. Because he trusted his brother. Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam, this child of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, when he enters the battlefield, they say, we've never seen anyone as beautiful as Ali Akbar. We have never seen anyone as brave as Ali Akbar. In Medina, people used to come into Medina, they used to knock on the door of Imam Hussain. You know what the historians say? The people who had never seen Rasulullah, of course there were no cameras, there were no pictures. They used to knock on the door of Imam Hussain and they would say, Yabna Rasulillah, we've heard that your son looks like the Prophet. We've never seen the Prophet. Please bring out Ali Akbar so we can look at the Prophet. Imagine that. Imagine that as a Sa'ada. Imagine Hussain ibn Ali, who's the son of the Prophet. Son of the Prophet. Aya Mubahila. Yet they would say, bring out Ali Akbar. All of Bani Hashim. All of Banu Hashim. Whenever they desired to look at the Prophet, they would turn towards Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar and Hazrat Abbas, the tradition, the historians say, when they used to walk through the marketplace, people would stop what they're doing. Sellers would stop selling until Abbas and Ali Akbar have walked by. Imagine that. I mean, now imagine what the enemy was. Many of them had seen the Prophet. Some of them, so to say, were companions on the day of Ashura against Imam Hussain. When they saw Ali Akbar coming, they would have seen that this is the resemblance of the Prophet. They would see that this person reminds us of our Prophet. In other words, they had every reason not to attack Ali Akbar, yet they attacked Ali Akbar. On the day of Ashura, there were more reasons to not attack Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and his family than to attack him. There was no reason to attack him. Despite that, to go as far as attacking, it shows you what kind of Muslims they were, if they were Muslims. Let me take you to Syria, in the court of Muawiyah, La'natullahi alayhi. With his courtiers in front of him, he asks them the question. He says, oh, the people of my court, because they would sit and they would make mashwara, they would make, they would take ideas from each other. Muawiyah one day asks his court, he says, tell me, who is most, because Muawiyah is fighting Ali ibn Abi Talib for Khilafah. He says, look, I'm here fighting for Khilafah. Ali ibn Abi Talib wants Khilafah. You tell me today, all of you who's sitting, he's sitting like this on the mimbar and everyone's, his friends and his wazirs and his wuzara, they're around him. And he says to them, tell me who is most deserving of caliphate. You know what they say? They say, Muawiyah, you are. He says, no. Be honest. They say, no, you are. He says, you're wrong. Now listen to what Muawiyah says, and this is in history. He said, if there's anyone more deserving of caliphate today, it's not me or Ali. It is Ali ibn al-Hussein, Ali Akbar. What does that tell you? It tells you Ali Akbar was known. It wasn't an unknown, it was a famous person. That if someone in Syria knows the grandson of Ali ibn Abi Talib, who's not even an imam. Not an imam. Masoom, yes, but not imam. He says, if there's anyone deserving of caliphate, is Ali Akbar. He said, what do you mean? Why? How? He says, because he has within him the bravery of Bani Hashim, the greatness of Bani Thaqif, and the generosity of Bani Umayyah. Of course, that's him saying it because he's Umawi. Our Aqidah, our belief, Bani Umayyah is not known for anything good. But to put himself in, and of course, because it comes from him, so he would say this. Because he's an Umawi, so he says he has the generosity of Bani Umayyah, the Shuja'a of Bani Hashim, and the greatness of Bani Thaqif. But that's not the point. The point is he admits the greatness of Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam. He admits to his fadila. Shaykh Abbas al-Qummi in Mafatihul Jinan, when he puts forward the ziyarat mutlaqa of Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam in Rajab from the Masoom, he says there's a beautiful statement within this ziyarah addressing Ali, where the Masoom, the Imam, addresses Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam. As you know, the ziyarat namas, for example, from Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, Hazrat Abbas, Ali Akbar alayhi salam, they come from Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam when he went for ziyarah. The ziyarat nama of Masoom Qum comes from Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rada alayhi salatu. So these are ziyarah ma'thur. They come directly from the infallible. This ziyarah, when the Holy Imam turns towards Ali Akbar, he says, وَجَعَلَكَ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْبَيْتِ الَّذِينَ أَذْهَبَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمُ الرِّجْسَ وَطَهِّرَهُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. وَجَعَلَكَ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْبَيْتِ. The Holy Imam refers to Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam, and he says, look, Allah has put you with Ahlul Bayt. You are within, you are from Ahlul Bayt. Which Ahlul Bayt? الَّذِينَ أَذْهَبَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمُ الرِّجْسَ. The same Ahlul Bayt who have reached the level of وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا, have been purified a thorough and pure purification. Based on this, the ulama, Marhum Allama Abdul Razak al-Muqarram al-Musawi, he says, based on this is enough to prove the infallibility and the isma of Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam. That he is from the Ahlul Bayt. Not just from the Ahlul Bayt, that Ahlul Bayt have circles, but that Ahlul Bayt, the primary circle, which are at the maqam of وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. Same thing with some of the other personalities. The ismat of Zainab Kubra, salamullahi alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. From the sayings of the Imams, the ulama have used the nusus, nas of the Imam. For example, alimatu ghair muallima, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam refers to Bibi Zainab. Or for example, the isma of Abul Fadl al-Abbas, salamullahi alayhi, from his ziyarah, and from the traditions that exist from all of the A'immah for Abul Fadl al-Abbas. From the Prophet, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, Imam Sajjad, Imam Baqir, Imam al-Sadiq speaks of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. If you put together all of these traditions, the ulama come to a conclusion. They say there's no doubt in the infallibility, in the isma of Abul Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salatu wasalam. Yet Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam occupies the highest rank when it comes to the Shuhada of Karbala after Hussein and Abbas. A point or two, inshallah, and then I want to connect with Bibi Sakina. When you look at the lives of the children, especially Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam in Karbala, you find that from the very first, when they left home, on the way en route to Karbala, Ali Akbar asks his father a question. When Imam Hussein at a maqam falls asleep, he wakes up, the first thing he says is, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Like any son, at hearing this would get worried. He comes to his father and he says, oh my father, what is the reason for saying Inna lillah? Is there a calamity? Is there a musibah that has fallen upon us? He says, my son, I saw a dream that this caravan is heading towards Karbala and death is coming behind us. You know what the historians write? Ali Akbar asks a question. He says, Ya bata, alasna ala al-haq. Are we not on haq? Are we not on the truthhood? He says, oh my son, if we're not on haq, then who is? If we are not the followers of truth, then who else is? So then he says, look, oh father, if we are on haq, then it really doesn't matter whether death comes upon us or we go upon death. Whether death chases us or we chase death, it doesn't matter. And until the last moment, Ali Akbar never for a second doubted. Look through Karbala, each hourly to the maqatil. Never once. Even the tradition that states when Ali Akbar during his fight, He was probably the only Shaheed who came back to Imam Hussein and then went back. Even when he came back, not once did he say, "Oh Father, maybe this is enough. Oh Father, are you sure? Oh Father, is this necessary?" You know what he says? He says, "Oh Father, if only I had a drop of water, I would tell them I am the grandson of Ali. I would show them I am the son of Hussein. The thirst is killing me." And Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam says, "Oh my son, may Allah give you the jaza that He would give to any great son. In fact, may Allah give you the best of jaza that Allah will give to the greatest of sons." That is a dua of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam for his son Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam. Ali Akbar alayhi salatu wasalam, for sure, without a doubt, whether his age was 27, 28 or 17 or 18 or 19, without a doubt, he was a shaheed on that fateful day with his father, buried alongside his father. And the historians say that there was, of course, another Ali, referring to Ali Asghar alayhi salatu wasalam, who died in the hands of Imam Hussein. And in Ziyaratul Nahiya, Imam Zaman refers to him as Abdullah ibn al-Hussein. Assalamu alayka ya Abdullah ibn al-Hussein, at-tifl al-saghir, the small child, the nursing baby. Peace be upon the small child. In his age, in regards to his age, they say he was 6 months in Karbala. But remember, if he was 6 months in Karbala, it does not mean he was 6 months when he left home. If the journey of Imam Hussein lasted 4 to 5 months, if he left in Rajab, and he enters Karbala in Muharram, it means he became 6 months in Karbala. Some of the ulama say he was just born when Imam Hussein took him. It is as if he was chosen for the journey. It was as if Imam Hussein was waiting for the birth of this Ali. He's born, Imam Hussein says, "Now I'm ready to go." And historians say that with Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam was his daughters. And tonight we remember one of his daughters. Before I come to Masaib, some of the ulama say he had a daughter by the name of Fatimatu Sughra or Fatimatu Alila, which he left behind in Medina. Some ulama say no, he didn't. But Mufid says he has 2 daughters. Ibn Shahr Ashub in his Al-Manaqib, he says Imam Hussein had 3 daughters. The author of Lubab al-Ansab, he says Imam Hussein had 4 daughters. However, the ulama say, well, even if you go with Mufid's opinion, which is true, Sakina and Fatimatu Sughra. He speaks of 2 daughters. The ulama said this Fatimatu Sughra and this Sakina, these 2 daughters, no doubt, were in Karbala. These 2, whether he left one in Medina or not. But these 2, at least we know, were in Karbala. Sakina or Fatima Sughra. In some communities, Bibi Sakina is known as Bibi Ruqayya. Iran, Iraq, Middle East, they say Ruqayya bint al-Hussein. But for us, majority Indo-Pak communities, we say Bibi Sakina. There's no problem. There's a difference. Even some ulama have said Bibi Sakina's name is Bibi Zubaydah. Some have said Bibi Zainab. But the mashhur, the famous 2 names are Ruqayya or Sakina. There can be a dispute on name, that's not an issue, as long as the personality is established. As long as there was a 3-year-old daughter, 3 to 4-year-old daughter in Karbala who passed away in the dungeons of Sham and is buried there. My last point, and I connect this point with Masaib. About 200 years back, there was an alim in Damascus by the name of Syed Ibrahim al-Damashqi. Syed Ibrahim had 5 daughters. And his grandchildren are alive today. They narrate this. They narrate this to ulama in Qum. And ulama in Qum have narrated this on the manabir, on the mimbars. They say, Sayyid Ibrahim Damishqi, he was 90 plus, he was old, a pious, pure man, he was a Sayyid. He had 5 daughters, he had no sons. He says, one day my daughter saw a dream. And she said to me, Father, last night I saw a dream. He says, what do you see, my child? She says, I saw Bibi Sakina. She said to me, go and tell your father, Sayyid Ibrahim, that there's water leaking in my grave in Damascus, that he should go and see to the repairs of it. So he says, what is that supposed to mean? He says, don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. The next day, his second daughter sees that dream. This is real life, huh? 200 years back or so. The next day, his second daughter sees this dream. She says, what do you see? He says, what do you see? She says, I saw Bibi Sakina. She says, go and tell your father there's water leaking in my grave, that he should come and repair it. So he begins to get worried. But he doesn't know what to do. So he ignores it until the third and the fourth. All of his daughters see the same dream, night after night. He says, now something must be done. He goes and he sees the authorities, he gathers the ulama, the fuqaha, majority of them being, of course, from Ahlul Sunnah in Syria. He says, look, this is what is the message that I'm getting through my daughters. They say, look, we know you're a trustable man, we know you're a truthful man, we know you're a pious man, we know you're a Sayyid. What do you suggest? He says, I suggest we do not ignore these dreams. They say, okay, fine. So they prepared for, if you like, the renovation of the grave of Bibi Sakina. So they say, who will do it? They said, the person who puts the key in the lock and the lock opens, that person is responsible. So one by one, they all try, their fuqaha and their muftis, until Sayyid Ibrahim puts his key in and the lock opens. He comes in and he tells everyone to go back. Now when the time of opening of the grave comes, because what was the message in the dream? That there's water leaking inside my grave. Sayyid Ibrahim al-Damishqi, he opens the grave. Now he narrates. And today his grandchildren, they narrate. They say when our grandfather opened the grave, he looked inside, and only he looked, no one else was allowed to look. He looked inside, he said, I saw a small body and there was water leaking. He says, I ordered for them to repair the grave. He says, I held 3 days. I held the daughter of Hussein. For 3 days, the Sayyid says. They had a maqam, they had built a maqam, a high maqam. He says, I held this child of Hussein for 3 days. He says, I closed my eyes. For 3 days, I didn't need water. I didn't need food. I did not even need to make wudu again. The only time I put her down, not down, up, on the special place they had built, was for the time of salah. And then I would come and I would hold her again. And 3 days they completed the work, and she was carefully placed back in her grave, and that grave was closed. And now this is where I connect with Musibah. When they asked him, Sayyid Ibrahim, what did you see? He takes off his ammama, he takes off his turban. And he says, the things that I saw, I'll never forget. He says, well, tell us, what did you see? He says, when I opened the grave, I saw that this child did not have a kafan. This child was buried in the same clothing which she was wearing from Sham-e Ghariban. How? He says, because the clothing was burnt. And we know on the day after Ashura, Sham-e Ghariban, the clothing of Bibi Sakina caught fire. They say, what else did you see? He says, the thing that I saw after that really broke my heart. He says, what did you see? He says, I saw that there were marks of slaps on the cheeks of this child, as if she had been slapped and bruised badly. And they said, what else did you see? He says, I saw that there was still a rope around the neck of this child. There was still a chain from which she was tied in the dungeons of Sham. Ajrakum ala Allah. Today we remember this child whom Imam Hussein would remember even in his last moments. Today we remember this young child who Imam Sajjad would remember upon his return to Medina. When Minhal once came to Imam Sajjad and he says, Oh Sayyid Sajjad, you are young. You shed so many tears that your beard has become white. What is it that has made you old? You know, Imam Sajjad, he says, Asham, Asham, Asham. I don't know what it was that Imam Sajjad was referring to. Perhaps he was referring to Zainab in the Darbar of Yazid. Or perhaps he was referring to Kulthum in the Bazaar of Damascus. But you know what Imam Sajjad says? He says, Oh Minhal, do you know what it is that made me old? It was the janazah of my 3-year-old sister Sakina. In the dungeon of Sham, I buried my sister who did not have a coffin. This sister would always ask me, Oh brother Sajjad, when will we get to go back to Medina? Imam Sajjad would die out of the thought that Sajjad is back to Medina, but this child is still in Sham. Ajrakum ala Allah, Ajrakum ala Allah. One night, Bibi Sakina in the dungeons of Sham. You know how dark Sham's dungeons were? They say that you would not be able to see the person next to you. And children, you know, usually children are scared of the dark. You've seen how your children get scared of the dark. Now imagine the children of Hussein. And the night in the dungeons of Sham, one night Bibi Sakina is asleep. She wakes up crying. She says, Oh Aunt Zainab, where is my father? I just saw my father in a dream. He said he was here to get me. I saw my father, he was embracing me. You know, this is the night where Bibi Sakina left this dunya. Ahle Haram, when they heard that Sakina saw Hussein, everyone began to cry. Everyone began to scream. This crying and the screams reached the ears of Yazid in the middle of the night. He wakes up and he says, What is the reason of the cries? What is the reason of this commotion? He says, the daughter of Hussein cries. He says, what does she want? They say she wants her father, Hussein. He says, go and give her her father. Do you know how they give the orphan child her father? They bring the head of Abu Abdullah on a tray. It's covered with a piece of cloth. When they come in, they see this child is crying. They put this tray in front of her. But she says, what is this food? I don't want any food. I want my Baba Hussein. They say, remove the cloth. Ajrakum ala Allah. May no child see this. May no daughter see her father like this. When she removes the cloth, she sees the severed veins of Abu Abdullah. She throws herself on the face of Hussein and she says, Ya Abata, man khadabaka bidimaika. Oh Father, who dyed your beard with your blood. Oh Father, who severed your veins. Oh Father, who made me a yatim. Ajrakum ala Allah. I leave you with this. She begins to cry. She places her cheek on the cheek of Hussein. Imam Sajjad tries to comfort her. Bibi Zainab tries to comfort her. Her mother Rubab tries to comfort her. But when nothing works, after moments of crying, they realize that Sakina is now going quiet. At first they think she's asleep. When they think she's asleep, they come close to her. When they touch her body, it's cold, it's freezing cold. Imam Sajjad carries and he says, Aunt Zainab, inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Sakina has gone back to her father. What do I say about this 3-year-old? She saw her father go for the last time. She saw the Zuljana come back. When she looks towards the Zuljana, she did not see her father. She sees the arrows in the Zuljana. She sees that the Zuljana is covered in blood. Do you know what she says? She says, Oh Zuljana, tell me, Hal suqiya abi am qutila atshana. Nana. Was my father Hussein given water or not? She sees her father get martyred. She has to go through the slaps of Shemar and Ibn Sa'ad. She sees the burning of the tents, but she took everything. She was patient, she was strong, but if there's one thing that she could not take, that was the head of her father. As soon as she sees the head of Hussein, she departs, her soul departs. Imam Sajjad buries her in the same cloak, in the same clothes that were burnt. They bury her. Last line and I end here. I leave you with this, O Shia, O mourners of Bibi Sakina. May Allah take you to Sham. May Allah take you to Damascus tonight. Ajrukum ala Allah. Sayyida Zainab, when she leaves, after they were released, she gathers the women of Sham. She says, "O women of Sham, Zainab is returning back. I have one wasiyah for you. If you have any respect and love for me, I have one wasiyah. I leave behind the iman of my brother Hussein. Whenever you can, come to this grave and light a candle for this child." For she was scared of the dark. Now Zainab, when she returns to Hussein on the day of Arba'in, I leave you with this. When she comes to the grave of Aba Abdullah, I don't know what she says to him. Perhaps she says, "Oh brother Hussein, forgive me. I left your imana in Sham, but I promise you I will go to Sham and I will stay in Sham forever." ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم يا حسين.
आशूर की शब हाय सकीना का वो रोना और सैयदे मजलूम का बेटी से ये कहना तू रोए मैं ये देख नहीं सकता सकीना अच्छी नहीं ये बात न रोया करो बीबी अच्छी नहीं ये बात न रोया करो बीबी अच्छी नहीं ये बात हाँ पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सो या करो बीबी पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सो या करो बीबी अच्छी नहीं ये बात न रोया करो बीबी अच्छी नहीं ये क्या हो वे किसी शब को जो हम घर में न आए तुम हमको न पाओ तुम्हें हम भी नहीं पाए तड़पोगी नहीं दर्द से वादा करो बीबी हाँ पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सो या करो बीबी पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सो या करो बीबी अच्छी नहीं ये बात न रोया करो बीबी अच्छी नहीं ये बात। अरे बैठो तो करो देर चिरागों को बुझा कर, समझा करो इस खाक को ऐ लाडली बिस्तर। बाली कभी यूं ही नहीं पहना करो बीबी, हाँ पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सो या करो बीबी। अच्छी नहीं ये बात न रोया, अच्छी नहीं ये बात। कुछ देर को ये फर्ज करो हम ना रहें घर, बाकी ना रहे हाथ कोई रखने को सर पर। माहौल यतीमों का भी सोचा करो बीबी, पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सो या करो बीबी। अच्छी नहीं ये बात, अच्छी नहीं ये बात। आदत ज़रा तन्हाई में रहने की भी डालो, तस्वीर तसव्वुर में असीरी की बना लो। आज़ाद परिंदों को न देखा करो बीबी, पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सो या करो बीबी। अच्छी नहीं ये बात न रोया, अच्छी नहीं ये बात। असगर को न मानूस करो प्यार से अपने, अकबर की उरूसी के न दे खा करो सपने। सुगरा के करीब इतना ना बैठा करो बीबी, हाँ पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सो या करो बीबी। अच्छी नहीं ये बात न रोया करो बीबी, अच्छी नहीं ये बात। क्या हो वे किसी शब को जो हम घर में न आए, तुम हमको न पाओ तुम्हें हम भी नहीं पाए। तड़पोगी नहीं दर्द से वादा करो बीबी, हाँ पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सो या करो बीबी। अच्छी नहीं ये बात, जिंदा से रेहा आती सदा है यही अक्सर, जैसे कि सकीना से फरमाते हो सरवर। अब डर से लईनों के न जागा करो बीबी, हाँ पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सो। अच्छी नहीं जिंदा से रेहा आती है सदा यही अक्सर, जैसे कि सकीना से है माते हो सरवर, अब डर से लईनों के ना जागा करो बीबी, पहलू में कभी माँ के भी सोया करो बीबी, अच्छी नहीं ये बात न रोया करो बीबी, अच्छी नहीं ये बात न रोया करो बीबी, अच्छी नहीं ये बात न रोया करो बीबी।
या हुसैन
या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन।
हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने, हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने पुकारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा,
जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा।
हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने,
हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने पुकारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा।
हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने, हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने पुकारा बाबा,
जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। मुझे बालों से पकड़कर है तमाचे मारे, मुझे बालों से पकड़कर है तमाचे मारे, मैंने सरशेम्र से मांगा जो तुम्हारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। वो जो दुर आपने तोहफे में मुझे बख्शे थे, वो जो दुर आपने तोहफे में मुझे बख्शे थे, उनको बेदर्द से जालिम ने उतारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने, हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने पुकारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। आपके सीने पे आराम से सोने वाली, आपके सीने पे आराम अब खाक पे करती है गुजारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। सात रहवारों के दौड़ाया गया है मुझको, सात रहवारों के दौड़ाया गया है मुझको, चूर जख्मों से बदन मेरा है सारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। नोके नेज़ा पे उसे देखूं तो देखूं कैसे, नोके नेज़ा पे उसे देखूं तो देखूं कैसे, मेरा असग़र था मुझे जहाँ से भी प्यारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। मुझे बालों से पकड़ कर है तमाचे मारे, मुझे बालों से पकड़ कर है तमाचे मारे, मैंने सरशेम से मांगा जो तुम्हारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने, हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने पुकारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। आपके सीने पे आराम से सोने वाली, आपके सीने पे आराम से सोने वाली, सो के अब खाक पे करती है गुजारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने, हर तमाचे पे सकीना ने पुकारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा। आपने तोहफे में मुझे बख्शे थे, वो जो दुर आपने तोहफे में मुझे बख्शे थे, उनको बेदर्दी से जालिम ने उतारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है नारा बाबा, जब मुझे आपके कातिल ने है मारा बाबा, है मारा बाबा। सलवात।
Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Assalamu alaikum ya Fatima Zahra Sayyidat an-Nisa al-Alamin. Assalamu alaikum ya Khadijat al-Kubra. Assalamu alaikum ya Hassan al-Mujtaba. Assalamu alaikum ya Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Wa la tisatu masumina min duriyatik. Ali ibn al-Hussein wa Muhammad ibn Ali wa Ja'far ibn Muhammad wa Musa ibn Ja'far wa Ali ibn Musa wa Muhammad ibn Ali. وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن أجل الفرج وسخر المخرج وديه. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله كل وليك حجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وأولاد